welcome back to another tutorial with the Essentials Club. I'm Maddie and today I am bringing to life the cutest jumpsuit. I've had it on my blog for a while, finally turning that into a video format as I know a lot of you find that a lot more easier to follow along visually. It's actually the jumpsuit that I'm wearing today and it's just a shift style fit and it's got a low V dip on the front and the back and these tie strap features, which means it's easily adjustable to arrange on your body to make it fit how you would like. And it's actually a really simple make once you get your head around all the measurements. So let's jump into the steps of making your own jumpsuit. But today we'll need some nice lightweight material as anything too stiff probably won't work as well. I would suggest something like a cotton, a linen, hemp, anything that's nice and natural and flowing. I'll put the measurements in the below description for how much you'll need per size. You also need a pair of pants to reference. This could be a pair of shorts that you like wearing, pajama shorts, jeans, just pretty much anything that has a crotch that we can reference, and then we can add on more measurements to make it fit in this jumpsuit style. We'll also need some fabric scissors, measuring tape, some pins, fabric chalk, and then also a clean paintbrush or something equivalent that will help us get out the straps once we get to that step. And then lastly, our old trusty sewing machine. First, we're going to try on our reference pants and use these as a base to figure out measurements to then create the jumpsuit. So once you put them on, let's figure out how much we need to add to the width to make sure this jumpsuit is a loose fit. So obviously if the pants that you're trying on right now are a tight fit, make sure to add a couple of inches per panel and that will help give it that looser fit. Then from there we need to figure out the length of this jumpsuit. So my pants are a high-waisted short already. I am actually going to add on a couple of inches to the bottom to get it to my ideal length, making sure that I keep in mind that I will be hemming the bottom, so adding that seam allowance for that. If you're using a longer pair of pants, maybe just pop a pin where you would like it to end and that can be your reference point. Then we need to figure out the height to get it from wherever your pants stop up to the V of the jumpsuit. So again, mine are high-waisted and I just want my V to start just where my bra starts, and I will write that down as a reference to add on once we draw out the patterns. Then from where I stopped to find the V, I'm then going to figure out the distance from there up until my shoulder, and that's going to help me figure out how much I need to add before it gets to the strap section. So I've written down that as a reference. And then lastly, we need to figure out the strap length. So this just depends on personal preference. If you want it to be a dramatic bow that you can add on, obviously make it up to 20 inches. That's normally a good length. For me, I'm just going to add on about 10 inches as I find that'll be just a nice cute amount. If you're not sure about how much to add on to each section, especially the width, just make sure you add on more because you can always take it off rather than add on. So the bigger is always better when it comes to sewing. So now that we've written down all those reference measurements that we'll be adding onto our pants, it's now time to lay them out and start cutting and measuring out the pattern. We are going to grab the shorts, turn them inside out, and then just focus on one of the panels so it looks something like that. We'll then lay it down on our fabric. Make sure that the bottom of the pants are aligned with the bottom of the fabric and then offset it by however much you need to add on. And again with the side, make sure it is as close to the side as possible so we don't waste much, but it has that allowance that you need to add on. Then we'll use our measuring tape and our fabric chalk to add all the measurements that we figured out to make it fit how we want. So for me that was 2 inches all along this bottom area. You might be able to see, but from my pants I have them angled slightly up, and I find that with the bottom of pants, if you kind of angle them so from your crotch to the side of your leg they go on an angle outwards, I feel like it just creates a nice shape, and when you walk it just has a nice flow as well, so you might want to do that as well. The pants I'm referencing are actually an elastic waist. They gather in at the top here, but I know from this side point I just want it to go straight up, so I've just measured out to there. I know it's going to go straight up, and then I found the top of my pants, popped a mark there, and from that point we're adding on that measurement that we found from where the pants start up until where we want that V to start. For me that was 3 inches, which I will add from this center seam. And on this side where the armhole is going to be, I'm going to make it a little bit lower, so I'm only just going to add 1 inch. So now we're adding on from the V up into the shoulder, that length, so I'll start from this middle one. And for me that ended up being 14 inches. I'll just draw a mark directly above that, and then over here as well on the side. And what we'll be doing is from that center mark, which is this center seam, and this side mark, which is this side, we're just going to draw an angle from those 2 points into the center of where our shoulder meets. That will create this V section that covers our bust area. And I would recommend just kind of curving out at that bottom section where your armhole is. So those 2 points that I've put in place there, I'm going to measure how wide they are apart. And for me, that's 13 inches. So for my halfway point, that will be at about 6.5 inches. But we do want this strap to be about an inch apart. So when I get to that 6.5 inches in, I'm just going to do half an inch on either side. And that means that the strap will continue to be about 1 inch from there. From this point down here, which is the armhole, I'll start drawing a line, making sure that I kind of curve it at the bottom there. And then from this shoulder down to this center V, I'm just going to draw one straight line, as I want that to be a really defined V point at the front. From that center V, I'm now just going to continue drawing down, following this crotch and leaving about a half an inch seam allowance off the edge, and then continue this area down to the base. And there we have the bottom half of the pattern all traced. We then just need to add the straps on. So for me, again, that was 10 inches that I'm adding on up here. And I know this ends up being quite long, so if you don't have enough material for all of this, you could also just cut out this first section and then add on the straps separately. So don't stress if you don't have enough fabric to do it all in one go. Then we can remove the pants, and then we have the first one all ready to cut out. We end up needing 4 of these, so I'll cut this one out and then I'll show you how we then replicate it to create the rest of them. So I have this first piece cut out, and that is like the top strap area, that top V area that covers our bust, and then the rest of the body is looking like that. What we'll do next is we're just going to use this as a template and keep cutting out the rest. I'm pretty lucky this is good on either side really, as I'm using a linen, but if you have a pattern and you can clearly see that one side is more faded or it has a clear good and bad side, make sure every time you go to lay this down you have the good sides facing. So then what we end up with is 2 pairs of good facing pieces, so 4 all up. I'm just going to go repeat that, making sure that I press each piece up to the edge as close as I can to make sure that I don't waste any fabric. And then once we have those 4 pieces, we'll then cut out 4 interfacing pieces, and I'll show you how to do that next. First of all, interfacing is just a double layer that we add to help give the side edges a nice clean professional finish, as well as giving it some structure and preventing it from being see-through. If you don't happen to have enough fabric, it's not crucial to use it and it will work without it. You'll just need to double hem the edges, but I just recommend using it as it always turns out so much nicer, and I think you'll be so much happier once you add it. You don't always have to use matching material. If you have like a cheaper cotton or something that you can just throw in under that you don't mind, it might just get seen when you do the tie straps as it'll be under there. That's an alternative way of doing it, but I'm just going to use the same material. The steps that I'll be showing you today is we're just going to create interfacing for this top part, so it covers all this bust area and up into that strap. We're pretty much just going to repeat the same process where we lay this down, use it as a template, make sure again each time we lay it down we have the good sides facing, and then we're just only going to cut out this top half. So for me, from that V point, I'm just going to go a couple of inches below it, replicate this 4 times, but only just cutting out the top half for the interfacing. What we should have at this point is 4 main panels and then 4 interfacing panels. And we're just going to start out by focusing on one of these sections. So we'll lay down one of the main panels and then grab the matching interfacing and face that down so that the good sides are facing each other. Align them, pin it in place. When we attach the interfacing to the main panels, we're going to leave the 2 side edges and just focus on the 2 angled edges and the top of the strap. With the interfacing all added in now, I want you to do 2 things before we move on. First up, match up 2 pairs just to make sure that everything is facing the right way. And that means that the 2 sides that have got the interfacing added have either the good sides or the interfacing sides facing, and again for the other pair. So that's a big tick if we can make sure that we've got those 2 sorted, otherwise you might need to rearrange how you have the interfacing attached. And second to that, we need to just go zigzag or overlock all the raw edges that we've just sewn so that they don't fall apart when we go to turn them inside out and wash them down the line. That includes either hemming or zigzagging that bottom edge of the interfacing as well, as it's easier to get that in now rather than waiting for when it's all attached. So once we've checked off all of that and made sure that it's facing and the edges are nice and clean, we're going to grab our clean paintbrush or whatever you ended up grabbing, and we're going to start folding these so the good sides are facing out. So we simply just put our hand in like that and start to fold it out. Obviously the strap section is a bit thin and we probably can't get our hand up there, which is why we have the paintbrush. It just allows us to keep pushing it. Obviously be gentle because we don't want to break the material, but just keep pushing it. That might take a little while just depending on how easy that fabric is to shift around. But essentially once we do it, that's what we end up with, this nice clean strap where you can't even see any of those edges that we've sewn. If you're a bit particular how things sit, this might be a good time at each stage to just iron it flat so that it sits nice and clean. Otherwise just keep popping them aside and we'll keep flipping them so all the good sides are facing out. And then it's time to start joining it all together and making it into a jumpsuit. Once we've got the top sections with the good sides all facing out, we're just going to focus on one pair of the matching panels. So we'll lay one of them with the good side facing up, and then we'll grab the other one, lay that with the good side facing down. We're just going to focus on this curve that goes down to the crotch section. So when you're looking at the jumpsuit, it's this line here that starts at that front V section all the way down to the bottom crotch area. So you can either pin that in place or just align it and start sewing, and we will just sew that on single line to begin with. So then when we unfold that to reveal the good sides, we've got one side of the jumpsuit coming together. So we'll pop this one aside, repeat that process for the other matching panels, and then I'll show you how to join it all for the final few steps. Both of those center seams on the matching panels are done. We'll grab one of the pairs that we've sewn, lay it down so the good side is facing up, grab the other one, unfold that, and then face the good side down so that they're facing each other. And then the two sections that we're going to focus on joining are these side seams. So we start up where the underarm section starts, go all the way down to where that bottom section is. And then we're also going to join this crotch area. Where these center seams are, align them, and then just go out from there and sew along that little crotch section. So down either side, along that crotch section, and then we're up to the final step. Done and it's looking so cute. I would suggest trying it on at this point and making any adjustments if need be. I'm probably just going to sew the side edges in just a little bit further, and that will help make the armhole a little bit less bigger, as when I tried it on it was gaping a little bit there. But that's easy as I'm just going to fold it back inside out and then just shift over that seam line that I sewed along there. And then once you're trying it on as well, figure out how much you need to take it up for the length, as the last step will be we'll just do a double fold along this bottom edge and hem it so it's all nice and clean. As always, you can just leave it frayed and just sew one line around to stop it from falling apart. Once you've made all those final changes, just go around and zigzag or overlook any of the raw edges to stop it from fraying, and then you can tie the sleeves at whatever point feels comfortable on you. And then my friends, you have a really cute jumpsuit. If you did happen to follow along these steps, I hope it turned out good for you, and also please tag me at the Essentials Club, as I always love seeing how your creations turn out. I just want to say a big thank you to everyone's support. It means so much to me watching this channel grow and watching you guys get inspired by my creations and getting into the flow of sewing. It's really inspiring to me also to see your journeys, so thank you so much, and I will see you in the upcoming tutorials. Time to go wear this baby out to a picnic on the weekend.